Is a very English scandal based on a true story? Yes, is the short answer, but it's not as simple as that. A Very English Scandal stars a very English gentleman. Hugh Grant takes on the role of Jeremy Thorpe, the star character of A Very English Scandal, with Ben Whishaw playing his accuser Norman Scott. A Very English Scandal start date. How many episodes? The novel, written by John Preston, charts the very true downfall of Liberal Party politician Jeremy Thorpe. What is the Jeremy Thorpe scandal? Thorpe was the youngest leader of a British party at only 37. But his personal life overshadowed his political accomplishments. 6 years before homosexuality was partially decriminalized, in 1961, Thorpe began an affair with Norman Scott, a young stable hand he met at a friend's estate. A Very English Scandal cast, WHO stars in the series? But that isn't really the scandal. The scandal comes later when the Liberal Party MP was elected leader, and suddenly his prior indiscretions could no longer be swept under the establishment carpet. Around this time, Scott publicly accused Thorpe of the illegal gay affair. As the drama between the two men unfolded, the political establishment tried to silence Scott. A Very English Scandal location. Where is the series filmed? Where is it set? Thorpe was adamant that if any details about his dealings with Scott were made public, the game would be up. Liberal Party Treasurer David Holmes allegedly asked a man named Andrew Newton to take care of Norman Scott. Did Jeremy Thorpe ask Newton to murder Scott? John Preston's novel tells the story this way. Holmes insists he had only asked Newton to scare Scott. As detailed in the trial, Newton lured Scott into his yellow Mazda, then pulled over in a lay-by where they all got out, including Scott's dog, Rinker. Whether he went on to try and Scott is debated, with the prosecution at the time saying he had, but the revolver jammed. After getting out of the vehicle, Newton then shot the dog. As a result, an issue that would have remained in the Westminster bubble instead became a firearms incident being investigated by the police. The investigation eventually led back to Thorpe, too, and they all wound up at the Old Bailey. How did the Jeremy Thorpe scandal start? Norman Scott and Jeremy Thorpe met in 1961 when former was only 20 years old. He worked as a stable hand for a friend of Thorpe's but was also a part-time model whose good looks were hard to miss. The affair ended, as Thorpe sought Yule experiences with others, leading Scott to bouts of jealousy. My story isn't a comedy. It's about the total destruction of a person. Norman Scott, Mail on Sunday. Thorpe told Scott he never wanted to see him again in 1964. The younger man had allegedly already threatened during at least one argument to expose Thorpe's homosexuality, which was still illegal at the time. Come 1974, Jeremy was elected Liberal Party leader. Scott took his allegations to the public, and Thorpe's past came back to haunt him. When did the Jeremy Thorpe scandal end? Thorpe maintained until his death in 2014 that the two men had an intimate friendship, with no involved at any stage. Ahead of A Very English Scandal's premiere, Scott told the Mail on Sunday, "My story isn't a comedy. It's about the total destruction of a person." A Very English Scandal airs on 1 at 9 p.m. on Sunday, May 20th.